Good afternoon. My name is Joe Curtatone, and I have the honor and privilege of serving as the mayor of the city of Somerville. I'm joined by our superintendent of schools, of the Somerville Public Schools, Ms. Mary Skipper, and our chief of police, David Fallon. You know, since the election, our phones have been ringing off the hook. We've heard from parents who fear they will be rounded up while their young children wait for them at home. We've heard from women, Muslims, members of the LGBTQ community, and students of color who feared intensified discrimination. We've heard from people who believe that our core American values of equality and decency for all are at risk. And people are questioning whether our leaders still desire to maintain a diverse and tolerant society. The message I want to send to those whose confidence has been shaken in this city is this: our city, Somerville, Massachusetts, will not waver. Others, including our governor, are also standing firm. Somerville will stand with you regardless of your race, creed, color, gender, nationality, legal status, religion, disability, gender identity, or sexual orientation. And Somerville, let me be clear, will remain a sanctuary city. We will not turn our back on our neighbors. Our diversity is our strength. Now, when it comes to sanctuary, there seems to be a clear disconnect from the facts. Some will tell you that sanctuary cities are breaking federal law, that they harbor criminals, or that they do not cooperate with federal agencies. Others will tell you that sanctuary cities and sanctuary status increases crime. Well, I will tell you right now, those are falsehoods, and what I'm here to share are the facts. Sanctuary cities are not breaking any existing laws. Somerville does not harbor criminals, and we are in regular communication with and cooperate in the interest of public safety with our federal agencies. No one who commits a violent crime, felony, or serious crimes gets a free pass here. We do cooperate with immigration on those cases, but what we will not do as a sanctuary city is violate the Constitution. And the reason the Secure Communities Program was discarded is because it violated the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution that our president, President Trump, was sworn in just days ago to protect. And no, sanctuary has not increased crime here. Somerville has been a sanctuary city since 1987, and in the 3 decades since, our crime rate has dropped more than 50%, 52.9% to be exact. In fact, our crime rate for every type of violent crime is below the state and national averages. Rather, sanctuary means that our local police and agencies do not and will not profile our residents to run immigration checks on them. 1/3 of Somerville's residents are authorized immigrants here with legal status. These are our neighbors. Their kids go to school with our children. They're our friends. They're our colleagues. And we are not going to treat them like suspects at every turn. Sanctuary also means that when undocumented persons are victims or witnesses to crime, they don't have to fear deportation if they come forward to report those crimes. I mean, that keeps, and the chief will tell you this, that keeps our community safer. Sanctuary also means we don't hand over persons for deportation for civil offenses like running a red light, on a person running a red light on their bicycle. And we don't do that because we refuse to tear families apart over misdemeanors. And doing so just fuels what is a broken immigration system that needs to be fixed. Today, President Trump announced his intention to defund sanctuary cities. Both the President and Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, have made it clear that they do want to do this in order to remove criminals from our country. Mind you, our hope is that once our new president reviews accurate information, he will not cut this funding. It would be a reckless policy. The economic engines at the heart of the 10 of the 11 largest metropolitan areas in this nation are sanctuary and Trust Act cities. Those 10 areas are home to more than 78 million people, roughly 1/4 of our entire U.S. population. In all, it is estimated that there are more than 300 sanctuary cities counties, and states in the United States that limit local law enforcement's involvement in federal immigration enforcement. The impacts to our national economy will be devastating if we pull federal funding from them all. If cities have to make a stand for basic human decency, let me be clear, then we're going to make that stand. If we have to make a stand for the Constitution, we will make that stand. If we have to make a stand for economic sanity, we will make that stand. If we have to make a stand for the facts over falsehoods, we will make that stand. Tearing our communities apart only serves to tear them down. We're going to keep bringing people together, making sure we remain a sanctuary for all. We in Somerville, we're one community. We've got values that work. We know what makes America great. And I challenge and ask leaders in Washington, the president, want to open up your hearts and open up your minds. This is a time when we need to leverage American values around human decency, civility, and compassion, and to work collaboratively around comprehensive immigration reform and fix the broken system. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Well, you know, it's not a shock or a surprise in terms of what the president said today. That rhetoric has been clear throughout the presidential campaign. It's become more of a reality today. We've been analyzing what the potential negative impacts could be. We still don't know fully, but in terms of exposure, we receive about $5 to $6 million in direct federal aid that is received by the city, and combined with the pass-through federal funding, we're looking at upwards of $12 million total annually. Now, these are programs. This is money that goes to fund programs around free and reduced price lunch programs to keep our kids from starving, special education, veterans and senior services, highway safety, homeland security projects. They're very programs to help the most vulnerable populations. The irony of this all is the president during his campaign promised to help those cities that have been so-called, accused, he accused the Democrats of abandoning for years. These are the very populations we seek to protect, to help build up cities. Well, we were close as a country a couple of years ago, all right? We were close, but we have more than 11 million undocumented people in this country who love this country as much as you and I, who want to continue to make this country great, who want to pay their fair share, and they actually pay tax every day. Every day they buy goods and pay rent and buy gas. If we want to fix the system, let's create a pathway for the dreamers, for those to be part of the mainstream, to come out of the shadows. If a person is violent in our community, notwithstanding your status, we want you out. But more than 11 million people, do we really think we're going to deport them? And every nonpartisan economist, sociologist, criminologist will say two things. One, throughout the history of the greatest wave of undocumented immigration in this country, undocumented immigrants commit fewer crimes, exponentially fewer crimes than citizens. And two, that if Donald Trump's plan to deport 11 million people were to become true, that could reduce the economy by up to 3%. That would be devastating, devastating. You know, we don't know yet. We don't know exactly. We know, I guess, in the worst case scenario, it would be exposed, but we're prepared to tighten our belts. What we're not going to do is react to a Damocles of money hanging over our heads to abandon our democratic, human, and principles of civility. We're not going to run away from our fellow man for a bucket of money. We'll do what we have to do to move forward. Yes, sir. We really don't know. All that was said today, and we're waiting for the next, I guess, shoe to drop, that he is directing, if I understood clearly, and I believe it was the incoming Homeland Security Secretary, to identify ways and funding that could be targeted. What that funding could be, I mean, it's somewhere in the area or zone of funding I've described here today, and what they would do or what they would condition. I'm not sure, whether it's tied to, he also mentioned they wanted to put forth to reestablish what they call the Successful Secure Communities Program, but again, federal courts have found that previous program to be unconstitutional, so we're going to wait and see, but we are making every and any preparation necessary as a community to prepare for that battle and that fight in the event that it does happen. Was there a hand up? Yes. $5 to $6 million in direct grant, and then including pass-through money that comes not for dexterity services that we distribute on behalf, the other different housing programs and other programs. It's upwards of $12 million annually. Yes. Well, his press secretary today said the president has a big heart. I'll take him at his word. I asked him to open that heart in his mind and to look at these people as they are describing as human beings seeking a better life like my family did, like many of our families did, for themselves, for their children, who love, not just some of them, love this country as much as you and I. And to embrace principles and virtues as a democratic, free society for everyone, where equality and justice is for everyone. And basic tenets of human decency and compassion are embedded in everything that is framed in our Constitution. And to look at these individuals as human beings who in most cases, many cases, are escaping horrific life-threatening conditions in countries and lands where our foreign policies has played a critical role in destabilizing those countries. And they've sought to the one beacon of hope to save themselves and their family, and that has been the United States. So ask him as a human being to open up his heart and his mind and look at accurate information before they move forward recklessly. Yes, sir. I've said it publicly over and over again. I'm happy to say it to the president himself, and I'll continue to say it publicly. Yes, ma'am. Well, this effort's going to be bigger than the city of Somerville or the city of Boston. And what I'm appealing to and asking, no matter what your party affiliation is, but to the American public, to the one of the few democratic free societies in this world that people around the world look to as a model of human decency and compassion, that we double down on those human and American values and virtues, and that we move Washington to fix the broken system, and that we do not turn back the clock on our basic democratic principles and values, and that if there's a wall to be put up, there needs to be a wall be put up against the assault on the Constitution. In the last few days alone, we've seen attacks on free press, on freedom of expression, on basic human principles. And we either stand by here and let the lie become the truth, or we stand up as American society, no matter what your ideology is, and say, these are the core of who we are, and we cannot sacrifice that. I'm not sure he understands it fully, because we've heard things, well, we're going to target, these are some words I've heard in today's pressings and other public discussions by the president, whether it was a candidate, target sanctuary cities that refuse to cooperate with federal law enforcement agencies. Well, I can tell you that's not true. And I at least speak to Somerville. We have officers assigned to ICE, officers assigned to DEA, to the FBI, ATF? Not ATF, sorry. It was microphone, that is, sorry. And they work hand in hand with those federal agencies and cooperatively. So I'm not sure at the end of the day what they're trying to accomplish. We hear the rhetoric, but does the rhetoric contain any substance? So that's why I asked, I hope the president will look at accurate information before they move hastily and recklessly and cause more damage, not just to cities and towns, but again to our basic constitutional principles as a free society. I take a couple more questions. Thought I saw you. Thank you very much.